Oh, this is embarrassing, but I have to go with the butterfly effect just because I feel like this is a weird movie where like a lot of people I know saw it when they're like young kind of and it was mind-blowing and don't watch it again.
No.
So I rewatched this because I thought it was like legendary when I saw it when I was little. I was like it went places no one else went. And so I saw it again and like it's kind of obvious that they're making a parody of themselves. So I feel like I'm choosing this because I still kind of think it's legendary. It's now I understand it's kind of a comedy, but I also feel like it's the kind of movie you can watch over and over again because it can't decide what genre it is. So that makes it interesting when you're on a desert island. Okay, The Exorcist, 100%. I shouldn't say this, but because I was little when I saw it, I soiled myself, and I think that's a really great marker of a very good horror movie. I'm so mad that I just said that, but it's an unbelievable horror movie, and not that the Academy Awards are a marker of like success. I mean, it is, but or a successful movie, but we all know horror movies don't really get into the Academy Awards for whatever reason, but this is one of the few that won. Oh, yes. Okay, this one, 100%. This is like my first or second favorite movie in general. Yeah, I feel like this captured just the essence of adventure and being a kid, and it kind of I appreciate when a movie makes a debate, basically. It usually a really good movie is making a claim and then it's trying to prove it to you. And it right in the beginning, it's saying, you know, the best friends that you will ever meet. And I don't know if that's really true, but I liked how they proved it. The best friends you'll ever meet are when you're little and you're kind of your truest form. And I felt like they did a beautiful job. And also, um, River Phoenix was unbelievable. And I've seen this movie like 9 times, and I listen to the soundtrack all the time, and I wish, like, I could just, like, be there, and, I love this movie so much. I'm Sophia Parella, I'm a writer, director, construction toolman, buyer, New England filmmaker, and you are watching the Film Stock Podcast.
I actually want to pick up with that if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
That was a really good conversation. But first, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Film Stock Podcast. Our guest today is Sophia Parella. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to ask you the question that I just asked you.
Okay.
You working?
Yes and no. I'm not getting paid, but I'm definitely working hard on something. And whether that's writing, learning how to write, like I feel like I wake up every day and like forget, and so I relearn in the morning and then I try writing. I recently got a beautiful camera, put it straight on my credit card, and yeah, just
What kind of camera?
it's a Fuji film camera. It's not film, but it has like a beautiful filmic kind of look. XH2S style. It's I got it. Someone recommended it to me, and so I'm trying to kind of like throw everything out there to just try and be a better filmmaker. And I've also been feeling lately like when you're starting out with filmmaking, quantity is better than quality. And I feel that way because I feel like when we all have a vision in our heads, and if it's your first short film, it's gonna fucking suck no matter what.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, me too.
I like to say that I've made many first short films.
Me too.
Yeah.
And the like when I showed you the Streetlight, I'm like, it's my debut, but like it's not. The others are just not released.
If it is your debut, it was awesome.
Thank you.
I'm not just blowing
I'm pretending
smoke.
It is, but the other ones are in a hard drive, and I should release them or finish editing them even. But yeah, actually, like I don't know if you've heard of this book. There's a Stanley Kubrick like archives, like amazing book that just has all of his interviews, and he didn't give a lot of interviews. And he kind of in the beginning was talking about how he was, I mean, all of his work is amazing. So like he was saying quantity over quality, but it's like, yeah, just put yourself out there and keep making things because the quality seems to catch up automatically because you made, you know, a number of works, and instead of putting everything into one and trying to perfect it, it's gonna kind of suck. It's your first one. Just keep making more and the quality catches up.
Yeah, didn't he like destroy all the prints of his first film?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know
I
which one
think I
was his
remember him
first.
doing that.
The
His first
the
film he made,
Killer Kiss or
I it wasn't, was it Fear and Desire?
yeah, it was either that or it was like The Killer or something. One of those two.
I think it was the one that he was the cinematographer, the producer, he was
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and he had like 7 people
It was
with
like a
him,
feature
and
film.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he made it on like what the equivalent today would probably be like $25,000 or something like
Wow.
that. And I remember, because I've read up a lot on Kubrick too, and I
Mhm.
remember there was an interview where, or like a story where he was like, "Yeah, I paid to have all of that destroyed."
Really?
Yeah, yeah, he bought up like all the negatives and had it destroyed.
Okay. I wouldn't do
Disclaimer,
that.
I don't know,
I know
but
the freeze frame. You're
freeze
like,
frame.
he was wrong. No, I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I've been like shooting little things and I'm actually really like a huge fan of Stand By Me. So I went around and I was trying to shoot things that reminded me of Stand By Me just to like get used to holding a camera. And
Mhm.
I don't want to become a camera person, but as a director, you need to know how to communicate with the camera department. And so I just wanted to be comfortable with it. And then also like, if I have it's more for like horror ideas. I have like weird, creepy things in my head, and I want to see I could make it, and
Sure.
then I could get someone else to do it better than me.
Now, some of this stuff you were posting on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
All your test photos.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there like a series or like a few shots that you did in the mode of Stand By Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They looked really great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
They're like
And
a
those were
little
shot on that
shaky.
camera.
Yeah, on the Fujifilm camera, XH2S again. Buy it. It's really great. It's user friendly. That's why I got it. And it has a nice filmic look.
Now, what is
But,
user friendly?
Well, I've used other cameras that like the internal settings are like really complicated and more for a cinematographer, I think. And this one, I don't know, like yeah, I know what aperture is, so I was able to start using this one. I don't know, it felt like it wasn't too complex. It's kind of more of like a street photography camera, but you can also record. So
Now, did you always, sorry, Ace, did you always like have a background in photography? Like, did you grow up with a camera in your hand? Or is
yeah,
that
I guess
something that kind of
so.
came later?
No, I did, and then I stopped. And it recorded on tape.
Hmm.
So that's crazy. And I
Was it like a still
would.
camera or like
Oh, no, it
one of
was a
those
video
DV like
camera.
handy
It
cams?
was a handy cam that would record on tape that my parents gave me, and my siblings and I would try to make Twilight Zone like reenactments, and they were honestly pretty good in my like child memories.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like butterfly effect. I was like, they were actually pretty legendary, if I can remember correctly.
Yep. Will those be seeing like a Criterion collection after you make it big with
There's one where my younger brother was dressed like Freddy Krueger, and we did like some kind of like I was moving. I think I was filming and I was moving the camera, and then I stopped while he was mid running, and I like stayed really really still, and he got out of the shot. The classic like where'd he go?
Yeah,
But it was
in
so
camera edit.
smooth. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
so smooth that it like blew all of our minds. We were like, whoa, like where did he go?
We
That
did
looked
that.
we
We're
did that.
filmmakers.
Yeah, we're filmmakers.
Did you go to school for filmmaking?
No, I went to school for engineering at first, civil engineering, and I couldn't pass physics, but I was really good at like CAD, like computer aided design. But I was thinking of doing that, and
So what changed?
I couldn't pass the physics class, and you had
And
to
you're like,
continue the
I'll go join
degree.
the circus. I say
Um,
that lovingly, but like honestly,
no,
if you
not
think
even.
about the film industry, it's kind of like the modern day circus.
Yes,
You
yeah,
know, you kind of go to play make believe for a living, and I
yeah,
mean that as the highest
and
compliment.
no,
Because
that's why you meet circus freaks every day
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because yeah, it's a circus.
yeah.
Um,
So that didn't
well,
work out, and you
yeah,
decided to.
like if we go back a step in I actually have a record from my dad was obsessed with having like his kids write down their goals like every single year since we were like 2. He would like write it for us. He
Sure.
just likes looking at like our goals. And so I was going through my closet like a few years ago and I saw one from the year 2000, meaning I was 5 at the time,
Okay.
and it said career, and it was his writing, so I don't know if he was projecting on me or what, but it said horror movie director for me. So
Yeah.
I always wanted to make horror movies, and I don't know, just get involved in filmmaking. And so I was in high school, I was in an engineering program, and we had to make some kind of presentation about like what you want to do when you grow up. And everyone's was about engineering. I kind of missed the memo, and I was like directing.
Yeah.
And I just remember the engineering teacher was like shaking her head kind of like it, and I was not sentient at the time. Like I was sentient like 3 years ago. Like I was seriously just like a child, and I was like, I want to make movies. And I
With like
remember
no conception of
no
what that
conception,
means.
just like floating in this ether where I was like movies, and like for some reason seeing her just like kind of scowling and like just like shaking her head, it like like I complete after that point I forgot I wanted to make movies. I don't know what happened.
She just kind of derailed the
Something
whole
made me feel
thing.
embarrassed. I
Yeah.
felt like for the first time I felt like embarrassed, and it like progressed my sentience all of a sudden where I was like, whoa, that was cringy or like
Yeah.
weird. Cause like, I don't know, I'm sure the other kids were like, yeah, right, or something. And so I was in an engineering program in high school. I continued in college to do engineering. And for the program, you had to get like a C or higher in physics, and I literally couldn't. And so I did psychology with a minor in Japanese because was still a part of me was interested in making things that felt like Japanese horror movies. And
Is that
so
what you grew up loving?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I got in with J horror. But yeah, so I studied psychology and without really any goal. But then immediately out of college, I ended up PAing on Castle Rock
How'd
on
that come
Hulu.
about? Castle Rock,
I
the Stephen King,
Yeah,
J.J.
yes,
Abrams, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you work on that one?
No, so I think when they were doing the first season of Castle Rock, I think I was down here in Rhode Island doing Nosferatu, either season 1 or 2. So,
Oh,
but then season 2 came.
yeah,
No, it would have been season 1.
because I was on season 2 as well.
You were on season 2 of
Mhm.
Nosferatu, and
That
I
was the year after, in
Yep, that's right.
2018.
And I think that Castle Rock season 2 went right into production because I remember getting a call from Tim Gorman. He was looking
Mhm.
for ALMs, and I had just signed on to Nosferatu. So it was kind of
Wow.
like a leapfrogging thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so you were on Castle Rock, and that was your first PA gig?
Yeah, that was my first PA gig.
What was that like?
That was,
Did you become even more sentient? Like,
yes,
shit,
really
this is
fast.
this is how it
Really
gets
fast. We were
done.
just talking about Peter Wilcox, who's like honestly my best friend, and he's out of his mind, but he's brilliant, and he was the general foreman on Castle Rock. That whole group of people, I definitely became like 100% sentient. It forced me to. You get ripped apart, you get made fun of all the time.
And if you don't, the I've always said, actually, we have this conversation quite often. The film industry will weed out the weak.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you don't have 2 legs to stand on. You will be
Mhm.
cut down.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, and not only that, but so you were just an on-set PA, or you were
I
a
was the
construction PA?
construction PA.
So not only were you in the film industry and they're looking to weed out the weak, but you're
Yeah.
in one of the toughest departments there
It was
is.
definitely like they were all sweethearts, if I'm being honest. They just are like really quick with, they're
Mhm.
all really funny. They're all very clever, and they're all like wise guys kind of. And so I wasn't like, I didn't have that kind of finesse. So it's like they would say something to me like that's like, making fun of me. And the way you survive is you have to be clever and say something back fast. And that would just dig like a hole because I said something like, I would say something just like weird or missing the mark or just like not really like funny.
Yeah.
So
that's good,
yeah,
though,
it
because
was
that-
humbling. It was a humbling experience.
It's humbling, but I would also imagine like that probably endears you to them more, where it's like, well, she's
Yeah.
trying. Like,
I tried. I tried. Yeah. It was a lot of like, I don't even remember. Like, my job was helping them pull pranks on each other, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't really, that's what I remember, at least.
And how long did Castle Rock season? Was that like a 9-month thing?
Yeah, it was really long. I was lucky because it was a lot of work. It was from like July till like March.
How'd
or
you get that
something.
opportunity, by the way? Because like
I
coming
love
from
talking about this.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because I didn't know anyone in film, and I just got out of college. I kind of was like, screw that engineering teacher. I'm gonna get into filmmaking, and I didn't really know how. And so I just looked up films near me. I remember all of this like on Google, and the New England studios had just been made like recently.
Yep.
And
Out there in what is that?
in Devens,
Devens,
Massachusetts. And it said like I think I got on the Massachusetts Film Office page, and they listed Castle Rock, and so I like clicked that, and they didn't have any information. They don't want people to have that email, but I just looked up Castle Rock Hulu on Google, and then it said Bad Robot Productions, and so I just clicked Bad Robot Productions, and it had the LA office number. And this is also what happens when you're not that sentient. You just like, ignorance is bliss. You're just like, I'll call them.
Yeah.
And so I called Bad Robot, and I don't know why this girl gave me the time of day. Like, I feel like if I were in her position, I'd be like, sorry, sweetie.
Busy.
But yeah, busy. Like, we're not going to give you the number to whatever you're looking for. But I called Bad Robot, and I was like, hi, I want to work on Castle Rock. Do you have their number? And she was like, yeah. And she just gave me somehow the production office number. And then I just harassed them every single week.
Did you really?
I harassed them every week. I just said, like, can you guys look at my resume? Like, I sent my resume, and they were like, yeah, did you send it to this email? And I, like, would resend it. And it had been, like, maybe a month after I first applied or sent my resume, and I was still harassing. Like, persistence is key. Like, honestly, annoying people is really important in this industry. And it was like one day, like a month after I had first sent it in, that I got a vague text that was like, it just said, I don't, a 100 Studio Way. Like, I don't know the address of.
I think that's
New
it.
England Studio. Yeah,
For anybody that's
this
listening.
like burned in my brain. This burned in my brain. It said 100 Studio Way, 7 a.m. Like that's it. And like they didn't tell me what
Cryptic.
department.
Felt like you're entering a movie.
Oh my god. Yeah.
As you're entering the movie industry.
Yeah, it was very cryptic. That was Peter. They didn't tell me anything, which checks out. And so I got there. I was like really excited, and I didn't know anything about the film industry. I just liked movies. And so I was in the parking lot, and I saw people loading things out of a van, and I just started helping them. I just like went to the van and just, because I was like, do we all just help each other?
Sure.
So I just went to the van and just started like helping. And I think they were giving me like kind of a weird like side eye kind of.
Like,
and
who is this?
And this dude was like, sorry, where are you working for? And I was like, I don't know. Like,
do you know this number that didn't give me a name attached to it?
Yeah. And I was like, is this Castle Rock? And they're like, no, this is Slenderman.
Oh no. Oh, was it really?
Yeah, so I guess I was like helping maybe the Slenderman grips. I don't know. And he was like, okay, he brought me over to I don't know, the scenic charge Dan Corshane for Castle Rock. And
yeah, because they were both located
they
there.
were right in
So
the
they have
same-
two offices essentially.
Yeah, they're right next to each other.
At New England Studios.
Yeah, I just figured I'm just supposed to help someone.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I was in construction. I just knew I was going to 7 a.m. report to New England Studios. That's all I knew.
That's awesome. So, wow.
Yeah, sorry, that was a really long explanation.
No, that's good. And actually, if you don't mind, it kind of mirrors my experience
Really?
getting into the film industry. Like we had kind of touched on this on the phone, but I did the same thing more or less, but it was local. So I was graduating from college. I knew I wanted to be in the film industry. I had went to college for film, but it wasn't really production. It was more like, theory. It was more, history, et cetera, et cetera. And I saw the same thing. I Googled film, Rhode Island, whatever the hell. And I saw that, what was it? Woodhaven Productions, which is now Verdi Productions.
Oh.
Yeah. They were doing a movie directed by Tommy DeNucci called Almost Mercy. And I didn't know anything about the film industry, like actually how it worked, but I got like dressed up in a suit. I slicked my hair back. I went to the production office. Like I didn't know how you dressed. I didn't know what the protocols were. So I go there and I so confidently go up to, it was the unit production manager. His name was Raz. And I throw my resume on, which was nothing. And I was like, are you hiring? Because I'd really like a job. And he's like, we're not, but we could use an intern. So I ended up doing 30 days unpaid, like 16-hour days. And by the end of that, the second assistant director, he threw my name up to Chad Goyette on Black Mass.
Wow.
And I started day playing on Black Mass. And again, it was just kind of trial by fire, like you've been describing.
Yeah.
That
You're basically just like, who wants me?
Yeah. It's
I don't
like,
know where I'm going, but who wants me?
and tell me what to do.
And tell me what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't care what department I was in.
No, just so long as you were working on a set.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because what I think is interesting about having you on the podcast today is because of all the guests that we've had, only one other is actually like in the union working, in the industry. And I heard it
Shawn?
said, Shawn Yapchik. Yeah. Everybody else, they're all filmmakers, but they are not directly in they're not associated with HBO or Netflix or anything like that, whatever. But I think it's interesting because you kind of have from my understanding, a very varied experience. Like from,
Yeah.
we worked together on Death March all those years ago,
Mhm.
but we haven't really kept up since then. But we've kind of floated, and you hear things. And I know that you did construction, but it also sounds like you were in the art department. It sounds like you
Yeah.
might have done props and like some of
Mhm.
these other things. So, what's that like for you? Because generally, people just kind of pick a lane and
I
stay in
know.
it, and
I know.
then try and create their own stuff on the side. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
On Castle Rock, because I was very impressionable, and again, not sentient yet. And
Sure.
the tool man, everyone loved to give advice to a first time PA, especially
Absolutely.
like a fresh faced, like smiling one that everyone's making fun of. So the tool man was like words of advice, and literally it was like just around the clock people going by and they're saying, hey, words of advice. I got so much advice, but this was really great. And well, actually, in retrospect, like not the best to tell a woman in the industry, but he was like, say yes to everything. and and I was like so impressionable, and I was like, okay. And it's funny looking back, like that was the tool man in
Yeah.
construction, and I'm like, I gotta do what the tool man says. And he was like, at this time in your career, you say yes to everything.
Hmm.
And so I did for like 3 years, and then you figure out what you like doing, and you don't need to say yes to everything.
Hmm.
um but
What do you
yeah,
like doing? So you got out of construction, or are you still in
I
construction?
so yeah, I did construction, I mean, as a PA on Castle Rock. And then what did I do after that? After that, I like my twin sister was working in on Broadway. She's a scenic artist in New York, and so
Oh
and
wow.
she's my best friend. And so just to hang out with her, I like was set dressing on an HGTV show
Hmm.
in New York. So I tried that. Exhausting. I don't know how they do it. Exhausting, like hurt my back, but I also probably didn't really know how to like lift things. And then I got a call from Camille Adams, who was the art coordinator on Little Women, and I became the art PA. And so then I was trying art department, and I was lucky enough to work with Jess Gonchor, who is the production designer on Little Women and also on like for a bunch of Coen Brothers movies. Like he's a prolific production designer, and I was so enchanted by everything he did, and he was so smart that after that I was like, I want to try production designing, like
Hmm.
humbly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I went on do you know the film site
yeah,
mandy.com?
yeah.
Okay, Mandy is like Indeed, and like I highly recommend it for everyone, just for I don't know. You get loftier titles like production designer for like indie features, and that's like
Yeah.
hard to come by. And so I just put in production designer, and I saw a movie in New York that needed one, and it ended up being this like insane French homoerotic zombie horror film, and I production designed that. And that was exhausting, but really, really fun. Like
Yeah.
really fun. And that was the first time I was like on set really doing like filmmaking, because we know like on the bigger like Amazon, Hulu, like you're doing an aspect of the filmmaking, but when it's that big, it's like more officey or whatever. And
The smaller
you know,
productions I
yeah.
find to be way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like on the big productions, you've got your unions, you've got your departments,
Yeah.
and you
You're
really have to
aware you're
stay
a
in your
cog in the
lane.
machine. Like,
Yeah. But on
yeah.
the smaller movies, I did a like 1.1 million maybe like 2 summers
Wow.
ago, and I was the locations manager, but it
Hmm.
was a very small group, and it
Hmm.
kind of feels like summer camp where it's like,
Yes.
it's all a team. Like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to move that light as long as you know what you're doing,
Hmm.
or like, just adjust that
No, my
prop.
words exactly. It feels like camp. And like I also worked with Verdi Productions, I think 2 summers ago now, and it feels like camp, and they're amazing. And this movie in New York, it felt like camp, and it was challenging, but it was also the first horror movie. I mean, I worked on Castle Rock, which is like horror kind of,
Yeah.
but this movie was like really a horror movie. And I don't know, it's like an immersive experience. I never got to like be in a horror movie and watch like zombies come alive right in front of you, and it was so amazing. And so I did that, and then I got a call, I don't know, someone recommended me to be the set deck coordinator on Nosferatu. And
Oh,
so then
okay. Yeah, yeah,
that's how
yeah.
I got on that. And that was my first union job, so I was actually making money.
Yep.
And then after that, yeah, I tried it all honestly. After that, I was art coordinating on I don't know, Dexter. And then I quit that I'm not gonna get into it. It was like a construction versus art mafia, and they didn't know that I was like a secret liaison for construction because I was the art coordinator. But it was like Peter and Scott, and that's like a whole mafia thing. And so I left for them, and then because of that, they knew I didn't have a job, and they're like, "Want to be a tool man?"
Mm.
And so I was a tool man for a while.
Now, okay, I've been in the industry a long time, but I'm going to admit I don't know what a tool man is.
Okay,
What is a tool man?
I didn't either. And so when they offered that, I was like, okay, I don't know anything about tools. And they're like, psh, which might have and definitely pissed off a few people at first, especially being like a girl in construction and who doesn't know what she's doing. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to say I knew what I was doing, but my job was to purchase tools, fix tools, which I didn't know how to do, but I got really good at. I got really good at that. And like there were some naysayers towards the end, but I was really good at it and fixing tools. And then mainly going to Home Depot all the time and buying fasteners. Like basically the tool man buys anything that the construction department needs to build that's not lumber for some reason. The
Fair
general
enough.
foreman is buying the lumber and
Okay.
the construction buyer is not buying anything. No one knows this.
The construction buyer doesn't buy
No, we
anything.
don't
Did I
buy
hear you
anything.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're just tracking the budget.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know
Okay.
why some people want to change the title to be like construction accountant because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
Keeping
yeah,
track of
the
the
tool
numbers.
man, I was like buying everything they need and fixing tools. Like usually tools would get like jammed or decking guns were jammed or someone had it in reverse and then it would get fucked up. And so I really loved that. That was
Mm.
fun. It was definitely like tough. It's definitely tough in construction when like there's not a lot of women there, and to their credit I didn't know what I was doing, so there was a little animosity, but for the most part it was a challenging but fun experience. And I kind of like nestled into construction because I started with construction, and I feel like I've not finished because I actually like writing and directing, but
Hmm.
to make money I work in construction
For the films.
for the films.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And okay, so construction, art, man,
Yeah, it was a
again,
lot.
I'm kind of wrapping my head around it because again, it's like I'm so used to. I mean, at least my career, it's like I was a PA, I was a locations PA,
Mhm.
I was an
Did someone tell
ALM.
you to say yes to everything?
I no, nobody ever told me that, but that was something that. Well, let me rephrase. I was told that, but I was told that by my parents.
Yeah.
That was something that they
Yeah.
kind of instilled in me, where it's like, listen, just go out and do stuff. Like if you have an opportunity, take it.
Mhm.
And I think as you're a testament to, I think the film industry rewards that.
Yeah.
If you are willing to learn a new skill, if you are willing to figure something out that you don't know or take the initiative, I've found that it's weird because the film industry, it's being outside of it, being inside of it, like there's different paths to I think that most of us want to be writers, directors, producers, etc. And there are different paths to that, but I think the film industry, if you say yes to things, if you push yourself outside your limits, it does eventually reward you
Yeah, and like
and gets you to where you want to be.
I feel like you probably know too, a lot of this for if you want to be an actor, writer, or director is networking
Yeah,
because there is someone out there that can make your career happen.
yeah,
And it's like you have to have the skill set there first, obviously. And so that should be your first goal is just making things, learning, writing all the time. But you need a mentor or you need someone who believes in you to connect you to someone.
hmm,
And so I feel like saying I mean, I'm not going to say my advice is say yes to everything because I feel like that can be problematic. Like just trust your gut. Your gut, if you're excited about something, try it. Don't think like about it being too different from what you were originally anticipating. But the reason why I brought that up is just because when you're saying yes to so many things, you're meeting all kinds of people.
hmm.
And when I production designed that homoerotic French horror film, that guy became my mentor, and it has been incredibly helpful with my secret first short film, even though it's not my first short film, but my debut short film. I I was like baffled by the whole festival route game of chess that you have to figure out, like how
Mm.
to apply to film festivals.
Oh my God, it's a
And
mind fuck.
it's a mind fuck because it's like you're thinking of the premiere status, like, okay, if I want to be considered for South by Southwest, I have to plan on applying to them first. And then, but that's in 7 months. Wait, so do I not apply to anything
So
yet?
what? My film's just
Yeah.
gonna sit on a
Do I sit for
shelf,
7 months
and
and
then you
then,
got to do research on other festivals you can
yeah.
submit to. That like
Yeah.
yeah.
So and like it's kind of shitty, but you kind of have not you don't have to, but it really helps to have someone vouching for you. And I reached out to him because I know that there's kind of a game with the festival route where you have to know some people when it comes to higher festivals. And so I, reached out to him and was like, "Hey, this is my first short film. Do you know anyone? You want to like send an email before I apply to these?" And he did to a couple of them. And it really helped.
Hmm.
And it's not cheating. It's because you still apply. It's just that the thing is they're getting thousands of incredible films. It's not like they're they're getting thousands of incredible films. So it's more that when they come to, 100 amazing films, if they have an industry peer that they're friends with that says this is a promising person, it might help them look at yours,
Hmm. Well, it's the same way. It's the same way in the film industry. If I've had to hire people in the past when it's like, okay, well, I have like 3 ALMs that I know they're not available, but if I talk to ALM number one, whoever that may be, it's like, hey, buddy, will you give me a recommendation?
Hmm.
And if they give me a recommendation, it's like that's the guy. I don't even need to
No,
question it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nice to have somebody in your corner.
Yeah, I think it's kind of critical to have some kind of mentor when
Hmm.
you're an actor, writer, or director. I really think that because you shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. There's someone out there that can vouch for you and that knows what looks good and like knows how to balance, like there is a balancing act with what sells and your vision because you can't just start off being Charlie Kaufman. No
Hmm.
one's going, they don't believe in you yet. You can't
No.
do crazy things. And
So you had, again, this wild kind of roller coaster ride from not knowing you were going to go into the film industry to getting into the film industry and just kind of blindly. So at what point did you told me that you made short films before, but when did you, I guess what I'm getting at is Streetlight,
okay.
right? Streetlight. I watched it and I had a visceral reaction to it in the best possible way. So I guess I'm wondering when that decision to make that jump to like, put your hand on your own projects, your own voice came and what that experience was like.
Okay. That's a great question because I was working on a Verity movie,
Hmm.
Sins of the Preacher's Wife, Lifetime movie.
I
And
love that.
and I was art
It's a
directing
great
it.
title.
Yeah, I was art directing it and again, feels like camps you're like meeting all of these friends and like you said, the best part is everyone wants to write or direct, so you end up talking about that really fast. Like, what do you actually want to do?
Yeah.
And so anyways, I met this girl, Erin Grutadaria, who was gaffing it, and you know, she's just, she spearheads doing anything she wants to do. She can make it happen. And she knew that I wanted to write and direct and like I I feel like I didn't believe in myself enough maybe looking back and so I just wasn't doing it or procrastinating and she reached out to me that winter. We had shot the Lifetime movie in the summer, but that winter she texted me and she was like, "Hey, I want to shoot something on 16 millimeter film. Do you want to write something?" And I'm like, this sounds like an amazing opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
even convincing someone to like shoot something for you is hard. So I was like, yeah, okay. And then I was kind of dragging ass and she's like, "Hey, I need the story. I need something." And
Did she have like a date where she was like, no, we're
she
filming
like
whether we
kind
have a
of,
script or
yeah,
no?
basically. And she's amazing in that way. Like shout out to Erin. She's an amazing producer because she can work with like directors that are dragging ass and don't believe in themselves.
Hmm.
Which is tough because she wants to make it happen and if someone's taking too long she doesn't take no for an answer
Hmm.
and that's good and
Yeah.
so yeah, there was a little bit of pressure. I think maybe like a month had passed by and she just wanted to shoot anything. Like it could have been like 1 minute long, so she was like, "What is it? Just tell me something." And I didn't want to waste the opportunity and she was expecting something just like experimental that we can just like mess around and get some cool shots, but I was like, narrative short film, which is like way harder. And so I wrote the Streetlight, and that's like a whole thing. And yeah, she really like, she got that to happen. She was a great producer, and it wouldn't have happened without her because it would have just stayed in my brain.
So where'd the idea come from? It's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
So we've had a lot of filmmakers on here, and they're all great. They're all very talented. But I was saying to the guys before you got here, I'm like, the other filmmakers, their movies made me intrigued. They made me, want to see what was happening next. They made me want to analyze the film. This was probably the first film that we've had on where I absolutely felt something.
What?
No, I'm being dead serious. I was watching it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, yeah, it almost felt like I was watching Wall-E. Like, I felt so deeply for this lamp as it was going through the night with this guy. And, I don't, like, at the end, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is so sad. I looked up at Shawn after I had stopped watching. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, holy shit, I felt that. So,
really?
like,
Wow.
no, I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not blowing smoke. I promise. It was, it felt, I mean, it was like, there was a touch of Tim Burton. Like, it made me feel.
Don't even.
No, it made me feel the way I
me.
felt. Like, everybody who knows me knows this. The only movie I can, like, actually cry at is Edward Scissorhands.
Really?
Yeah, dead serious. Like, you could put on Schindler's List, and I'm not gonna, like, it's a good movie. Like, I feel for them, but, like, Edward Scissorhands,
what part makes you cry? Is it the same scene every time, or?
Yeah, it is. It's.
Are you gonna cry right now?
No, I'm not gonna cry right now. But it's the end when what is it? She before she has to leave the mansion, she's like, hold me, and he's like, oh no, this is in the middle. He goes, hold me. I can't. And then she takes his arms and puts him around, and then like you drift back to the memory.
Oh,
yeah, that gets me every time.
Oh,
but
wow.
this kind of had a touch of the Tim Burton, where it's like,
don't gas me up like
fairy
that.
tale,
it's gonna go straight to my head.
Fantasy.
Don't tell me
but
that.
Like, it's grounded in like real emotions. Like, the situation that you make is so fucking absurd, but like you treat it with such sincerity and authenticity, where it's like, wow, this lamp really is having his world rocked tonight. Like, he thought he was the shit, and then he's realizing, oh, there are so many of me.
Yeah, doing the same thing.
So like, where'd the idea come from?
Wow, that makes me really, really happy, because and I could talk forever about streetlights. I will say just a blanket statement. I'm obsessed with streetlights.
What's the obsession? What are we getting
God,
at here?
I don't know where to begin. I think I was one in the past life. Like, okay, a lot of the streetlights are being replaced now to be like LED, and they have more of a purpley hue, which is depressing. That feels like an office. Why do we change the lighting in the like film offices to be yellowy? Because it feels better. It feels cozier. I love sodium vapor streetlights because they have a certain, but like you can hear it's like buzzing. It's magical, and there's a beautiful yellow hue, and there's just so much
kind of a
more
warmth.
Yeah, it's warm, and it's, I don't know, if you're like walking, when you were doing your creepy guy walking at night in the winter,
Yeah.
and you see
You're gonna need to give context to that in a
oh,
bit.
sorry. Do you want to give context real quick? Sorry.
No, please continue.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Matt does creepy guy walkings, and anyways, you must have seen just like, nestled in some trees, like a street light at night, and it's like pitch black, and you kind of like hear, you see the moths going around it. It kind of feels like whatever they're illuminating, it just feels like a live action Pixar moment for me. And I think the other thing too is growing up in Worcester, Massachusetts, without a car or a phone for a while. I mean, I guess we were like kind of at that age where they're like, you didn't have
I
a
didn't
cell
get a phone
phone
until I was
like
18.
high school. Yeah, so same.
I was late.
That's really late.
It was very late, and I
yeah.
didn't get a smartphone until I got into the industry. So that would have been after college.
Wow. Yeah. So I didn't have anything to do, and like nothing to do at all. And on our street, there were a bunch of streetlights, but none of them worked. I don't know why. And there's one right in front of my window that worked, and it, like, I swear I could hear it. It was just like buzzing, like just as magical as like a vending machine at night that's like buzzing. Like, doesn't that feel magical?
Yeah.
I also recently learned the word anthropomorphism. I'm saying it badly, which is where
Anthropomorphism.
you like assign and attribute like human or animal qualities to inanimate objects.
Okay.
And so I guess that's something I do.
Okay.
Someone said that at a recent screening, and I was like, I kind of like pointed. I was like, I didn't know that was a word.
Yeah, but that's me.
That's me. Yeah. And there's a whole lore to that. But anyways, I just think that they're magical. And I'll be honest here. When I go to film festivals, I pretend this happened to me because my twin's not there, but this happened to my twin. And I guess it was like raining one night, like downpouring, and this guy was screaming kind of outside, and like that's like a fun little snooping moment. You're looking out the window, and he was staggering all over the road, and he must have been high on something, like not just drunk, like high, like kind of like bath salts high, because he
Mm.
was acting frantic from what Athena told me. And he like got to the street light, and it was so dark and like surrounded by trees, and the only one lighting the street, and also with it downpouring, for some reason it left a perfect circle of light on the ground, like just a stark bright circle. And he pointed at the light, at the circle of light on the ground, which is like so interesting to think that a human's brain can work that way. He must have been high on like bath salts, but he pointed at it and started screaming, like cursing at it, like as if there was anything human to it.
Yeah.
It was really weird. And so that always stuck with me. And I also didn't have a lot of money. I knew we had to have a guy at least to make a
Mhm.
film.
Sure. You
And so
you got to
you
follow
need a
someone
human.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had enough money for one human. I just saw a beautiful play by August Wilson called Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And I reached out to that actor. And so I got him, and he was unbelievable. And there's a very small like fan club for like streetlight fanatics. And so I knew a guy that had like 100 streetlights in his backyard.
Mm.
And so I visited him. I got a sodium vapor.
I'm sorry, that's
streetlight.
just processing with me. A streetlight fanatic, and
Yeah.
he just collects
In
streetlights.
Massachusetts, this guy has like, I don't know, not 100, probably 200 streetlights in his backyard.
What does he do with them? They're just
I don't know.
They're just there?
You could
You'll have to put me in contact.
Yeah, if anyone ever needs a street light, like reach out to me, and this guy will hook you up. I have to pay him to buy it because I've had it for like a year and a half now.
The streetlight that is in the film?
Yes.
Okay.
It was in my car for like a year.
Okay.
And
you were anthropomorphized.
yeah, I can't say it. Like,
I can't either.
Can that be another thing you had, like, on YouTube
Right.
where it's like anthropomorphism?
Yeah.
That
We
was
gotta do the
perfect.
freeze frame though.
Yeah, anthropomorphism. Yeah. So I got that streetlight, and like for me, like a film that I would want to see just usually involves something exciting to see. Like sometimes it's a story. It's also just something new, like visually.
Mm.
And so I wanted something visually engaging, and I found that streetlight. I got it from the guy, and I had an actor in mind, and I was thinking of that experience Athena had with the guy like screaming at the light on the ground. And I thought, putting a protagonist against an antagonist always works well for a story.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I don't know why I got into this idea, but I was interested in the concept of purpose and feeling fulfilled. And
Well, kind of given what we've been going through for the past
maybe
2
that's
years.
yeah.
No, I've been right there with you. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why it hit me so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the strikes and whatnot.
Yeah, it
and
might be like
no work.
a kind of a universal feeling of like, when do you feel like you fulfilled your purpose? And not even when, just am I fulfilling my purpose? And so I wanted to, I truly feel like a really good film is like debating something. And I wanted to have some kind of argument for like when someone has fulfilled their purpose. What would that look like? What does that feel like? And so I was interested in a guy that was having, an existential crisis, feels like he's not making a difference. That's why he like draws a dick on the, there's a graffiti that says "make a difference" in the bathroom. And
I thought he was I
I
thought he was
know.
drawing the
I was
infinity
trying to,
sign, and
yes,
then
that was
you
my, I
threw
was
one
trying to
at
be
me.
clever. I was trying
Yeah.
to be clever. Yeah, he draws an infinity because I feel like everyone's so wrapped up in trying to make a difference. And
Mhm.
what the fuck does that even mean? You know, they're trying to make a mark because we're, you know, maybe that's fear of death. I don't know, making a mark and so people can remember you.
Mhm.
And I was having him do an infinity because it's like a never ending feeling. And I don't know if like you feel this way, but I kind of like, I don't have a fear of time passing, but I get stressed out. Like, oh, like you look outside, you're like, oh, it's already the afternoon. I thought it was like, I just woke up. And why do you even have that thought? Because you're trying to be productive. And you're like, was I productive enough? I'm not even working now. And I hope I'm taking this time to be productive so that I can make my dreams come true.
Mhm.
And so that's what like the whole feeling was behind it, where he draws this infinity and then he turns into a dick because it's like, fuck off with making a difference. What does that mean? And he meets a streetlight that has like, you know, is narcissistic or has an ego and thinks it's the only light, because the way that streetlight views purpose is kind of quantifying it, like
Mhm.
making a difference, where you're like, I'm the only light, I'm the only one that did this one thing,
I light up the
and
world.
I light up the whole world.
Actually, the sun does
Yes,
that.
yeah,
What's the sun? Yeah. No, I it's burned
good
into my
memory.
head.
That's a good
Yeah.
memory. Yeah. And it got like kind of spiritual because he says like, oh, the sun's like God, and the
Mhm.
street light is like, I don't believe in
I don't
God.
believe in God.
And
Yeah.
that's why in the end I had him try to watch the sunrise.
Mhm.
The sunrise.
Yeah.
We filmed it as a sunset but backwards. That's why I got confused. But it's a
Gotcha.
sunrise. And
Yeah.
then he dies before it. Um have you ever seen that David Lynch meme where it's like, Eraserhead is my most spiritual film?
Yes.
And the guy's like, elaborate on that. And he's like,
No.
no, that's what I would rather say, but it's definitely my most spiritual film.
Well, it's beautiful. I
Thank
mean,
you.
again, going from I love like you introduce the streetlight halfway through the movie. You know, it's only like a six and a
That's
half
true.
minute movie.
Yeah.
But in the 3 minutes that you get to be with this streetlight, he has a full arc. He goes from being a full-blown narcissist, thinking he is the light of the world, and then you have this beautiful moment where they're traveling, and he's, wow, there are so many others, you know, just like me. And then at the end, he has this kind of beautiful cathartic where he gets to see the thing that he thought he was, you
Yeah.
know, kind of knows his place in the world.
Yeah. And I wanted the street light to know that it shouldn't quantify its purpose, because that's not when for me at least, that's not when I feel like my purpose. For me, it's when you have managed to convey how incredible something is that you love to someone else, to the point that they feel it. Like
Mhm.
you're kind of like vibing, and it feels like, I feel like that's like the closest you can get to another person, where you both love something in the same way and you got them to see how great something is. And so that's purpose to me. And if you can show one person in your life how spectacular something, not even how spectacular something is that you love, but get them to feel it and understand how special something is, that should be your purpose. Not quantifying like, well, 1 million people saw, like, know how special this thing is. It's like, no, just get one person to feel what you feel when something makes your heart sing. That feels like purpose to me. And so when you said that the street light, like you felt like, you felt like energy from it,
Mm.
and it hit you viscerally, I feel that way when I see streetlights. So that feels very fulfilling to hear that you kind of were impacted by a streetlight, because I am always impacted by streetlights.
Can't walk down the road at night without
Yeah,
every street
just
light.
say hi. So
How
you're
are
doing a
you?
good job. Yeah.
So you said you said Aaron, right?
Mhm.
Your producer.
Mhm.
What was the impetus to shoot on film? And where the hell does that come from? Like, the texture of the movie is awesome. So
Yeah.
well done with that
Film makes
decision.
everything look great.
Yeah.
Have you shot on film?
Only in college.
You
and
should shoot a short film.
underexposed everything. It was so
Yeah.
embarrassing.
No, we got the wrong film at first. It was tough. It
How
was
long was the
really
shoot?
tough. 2 days? Yeah.
Okay.
2 days. It wasn't bad, but I keep doing this, and I'm gonna do it with my next short film. I keep shooting on the coldest day of the year. It sucks. Like, no one likes shooting in January.
Yeah,
It
but
was
you know
January
what?
1st.
It builds character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it feels
Honestly,
like, yeah. I mean, I felt really bad, especially when you're not like paying people. I mean, I
I
paid the actor, but
I understand where you're coming from, but the first time me and Ace worked together, it was on a low budget horror movie, and it decided to shoot in the dead of winter, which
yeah.
served the story very well. But we'd be 3 a.m. in the middle of the woods, 2 feet of snow around
Yes.
us, and we'd be musing to each other. It's like, no offense to anybody that works in California, you guys do a great job, but they don't have the experience
Yes.
we have.
Yeah.
Like, we're a little bit tougher here in New England
It
for
is tough. It's
dealing with
really
the
tough.
elements.
I felt that on Death March a little bit.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think I have like Raynaud's a little bit. Like that's
Hmm.
where like you don't get circulation as much in your like hands. I realized it that day.
That day.
But that's my own fault. I was wearing like shitty socks and
Well,
but
Shawn was wearing he was wearing just cloth shoes that had like holes in them. And I don't know if you
yeah.
remember, but that scene, that day that you were there for,
Yeah.
there was a big river, like
I do
not
remember that.
yeah. He was walking. He didn't tell me until after we wrapped. He's like, yeah, my feet are frozen. They've been frozen
Oh
for
my god.
hours.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
even remember Rosario kind of like doing that. We were all
He was
doing the sidestepping. to
Everybody
try
was
to,
doing the dance to try and
yeah.
keep that blood
And isn't
moving.
that like, how do you deal with that as a director? Like, do you feel bad? Or are you like, I don't give a fuck, this is art? Like, how do you, it really gets me in my head where it takes me away from directing because I'm a people pleaser. So that sucks.
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess I would say lead by example. Like you have to understand going into it that it is going to be a difficult shoot because of the elements. And you do your best as like the director producer to be like, okay, what are things we can mitigate? Here's the reality. We're going to be in the cold. Like that's the nature of this shoot, that's the nature of this story. This is what we're looking for. So in that case, it's like make sure there's hot coffee, make sure there are hand warmers, make sure that you have production meetings ahead of time. Guys, it's going to be cold.
You guys did have hand warmers.
Dress appropriately, Yeah. So, and then on top of it, if you're the director in that situation, you can never be the one complaining ever. Sympathize with everybody, but don't complain.
Yeah.
Because then that just affects morale.
Yeah.
I feel like, no?
No, I completely, I feel like maybe I had that face where I was like, yeah, because it's like, I want to get there. I'm getting there, but this is hard for a people pleaser. It really is. Like, I'm trying to allow other people to tell me when they're uncomfortable instead of being like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Because yeah, you can't do that if you're directing because
You can't.
Because everyone's tired. And that is so upsetting for me to know. But when we get to the point where we're paying everyone appropriately, I don't think I'm going to give a fuck because I'm going to be
You
like,
shouldn't.
I'm paying you.
No.
Yeah.
The money people make in the industry, it's like, no, you're well compensated.
Yeah.
You should-
I won't
yeah.
care if it's January 1st again. If they're getting paid, I don't care.
Well, I mean, that was Dexter. Good
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wasn't it like muddy or there's
Yeah, so I was never on that location. That's kind of the good thing about being an ALM, where it's like you have your location and you get to stay there. But I was on the receiving end of everybody. So they spent, it must have been at least 2 months at Dexter's cabin. And the cabin was in the middle of the woods. And they had gotten like weeks of snow and then they got weeks of heat.
Yeah.
So all that snow thawed and just melted and the trucks couldn't get in and out and everybody was walking through mud. And I was in Shelburne Falls prepping that location. So they went from the cabin to Shelburne Falls. And I remember the unit production manager telling me, you're going to get a really happy crew because they're just going to be happy to have pavement under their feet again.
Oh my God.
And that's how it worked out.
Did you work with Kendrick McDonald?
Yeah, I love
Okay.
Kenny.
I got him in because I knew him in college. He was like a PA on a short film that I made in
Sure.
college. And I felt so awful. That was his first film experience.
I don't remember.
But he had a
if-
great time.
He had a great time.
Yeah.
I don't. It's been a while since I've worked with Kenny, but I think I remember him getting out after Dexter.
Yeah.
Was that the yeah?
I think he was getting into construction and I think he started doing his own kind of like furniture.
He's a phenomenal. What would you call
Carpenter.
it? Yeah, carpenter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a phenomenal carpenter.
Yeah, no, I think it's better what he's doing.
It's probably,
He's more of a craftsman now.
yeah, and he probably has more peace of mind. The film
More
industry will
peace of
drive you
mind,
crazy.
better life
Yeah.
in general. Yeah.
Again, the circus.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a certain headspace you have to have.
Yeah.
But going back to the film, so Cold Days shooting, you're the first person I've interviewed who's actually shot on film. So what was that experience like? I mean, it's not like you got a monitor to point out all the deficiencies and like, well, who's your cinematographer? Like, again, my only experience with film, I underexposed everything. So I don't really know how to get good images on film. Talk about that.
Erin was the cinematographer. That's her like shtick. Like she wasn't going in like, I want to be your producer. Just I knew what she was doing was producing, but she was the cinematographer, and because of all of her work and prep, obviously she was the producer as well. It was like, unspoken. I just knew she was the producer, but she wanted, she had shot on film in college, and she went to Savannah SCAD.
Yep.
It's like a
College
huge
of the
film.
Art and Design.
Yeah, it's a huge like art film school, and so she had experience shooting on film. So I was like, all right, has experience, let's do it. She's much better at telling this story because I was like blacking out the whole time. But the pre-production was really rough. It just felt like everyone feels this with filmmaking, like everything was going wrong kind of, or everything was last second. And another thing that like I didn't know is you can't buy film in New England. It's only in New York. And so we accidentally bought the wrong film. I don't remember why. I think like, I'm so not a camera person, but we got the wrong film. And the shoot was in like 2 days. And so I was like, oh, let's just buy the right film. Okay, go buy it. If it's Friday or like, it's Saturday and they can't ship it to you yet, what do you do? It's only in New York or LA.
Did you drive down to New York to get the film?
No, I was about to. But my friend RJ was I texted him because I was going to pay him to buy the film at like B&H or Adorama in New York and like overnight it to me, and I was going to pay him just to do any of that. And he's like, I'm actually driving up to Worcester right now. And I'm like, did you leave yet? And he's like, no. So he bought the film and then drove to Worcester. Is perfect.
Hell yeah, RJ.
Yeah. But the other thing is like, all of it was scary. The 16 millimeter camera that we were getting, Erin bought on eBay. Like, to be fair, like
you never know. Nope. That's a
to be
gamble.
fair, it was like 2 months or a month prior she bought it. So like, things on eBay take a while, especially a camera coming from Ukraine.
Yep.
And there's a war happening, and that prevented it from coming, which I'm not gonna complain because there's much bigger problems happening over there.
Yeah.
But we were both like, oh, why didn't we think about that? So, it didn't get there fast enough. And
so like, let's say production's on a
camera.
Friday. When did you get the camera?
Erin's gonna kill me. We got the camera maybe like 2 days before or a day before.
Wow.
Yeah, and the only reason we got it is because her gaffer, Anthony Farrenwald. Have you worked with him?
Doesn't sound familiar, no.
He's amazing. And yeah, have to mention the gaffer because it's about a streetlight and he did an amazing job. But he shoots on film regularly, and so I texted him, or Erin texted him, and we were like, can we have your camera? Like everything was extremely last second.
So you got the camera, but then you got another camera.
Unless I'm wrong, I don't think she eventually got it, but I don't think we got the camera in time.
Oh, wow.
And the other thing we realized too, like even if we did get the camera in time, I remember that there was no manual, and it was a camera from like the 30s, and we didn't know how to use it. And like, you just assume like in this day and age, like go on YouTube.
There'll be like a YouTube link.
Yeah, so we went on YouTube, nothing.
No.
Yeah, there's nothing, so we know how to use it.
And did the camera come with lenses?
That's such a great question. I need to ask her that.
Let me ask you about the direction then, because something I noticed, this was really interesting. Am I crazy? So when he's drawing the infinity, which then becomes a dick, I watched it twice, and I'm like,
oh no,
am I seeing this? On the outside of the brick building is a paper towel dispenser. And then you do the reverse shot, and he's inside. Am I crazy?
Wait. On the outside of the building?
Yeah. Yeah.
When is he outside the building?
Maybe I'm
Oh, are you thinking this because the bathroom, there's a brick wall, and then
okay.
yeah, he's
Okay,
inside
so
the
he
whole
was
time.
inside.
He's
Okay, so
inside. That's interesting. I wonder if anyone else is like having like a location mindfuck.
I would love to find out if people were because
Yeah.
I thought
You're also a locations like you
yeah,
have a
I'm kind of
locations
an asshole
background, so
that
like
way.
maybe brick tells you you're outside.
Or
So
maybe I don't know what I saw, but I was watching it. I'm like, this is some bold fucking shit that's going on right
huh.
now. Yeah, I don't know why. I thought it
Like
was.
just that's interesting. No, I wish I did something like that. Just like a surreal like
That's what I
where
thought
is
it was.
he
I thought
kind
you
of
were giving
thing.
us like a David Lynch moment. I was like,
Oh.
what's she trying to say? I don't think I'm smart
Actually,
enough to get
yeah,
this.
I remember doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Actually.
No, I think that unless I'm thinking of the wrong thing, he was in the bathroom
Okay.
but the shots that we did, it looks like he's in front of a brick wall outside
Yep.
and then he's not. So that was all one room
Okay.
and we shot it weird. We shoot
Another
it
thing
weird.
I'd like to
Yeah.
compliment you on, another thing that we constantly debate and bang our heads against the wall about is that we've been saying this for years that Providence is one of the most beautiful cities that somebody could choose to set a movie in.
Mhm.
But the problem that we have is that whenever a big movie comes to town, they go to Federal Hill and they go to the Capitol.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I really liked about your film is you got the texture of Providence down. Like
The grimy.
there's a grimy aspect to Providence, which when looked at the right way is absolutely beautiful.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I don't know if I can call Providence a mill town, but it feels that way wherever we were. But in Olneyville, at least.
Were you down by
Fett.
Fett, Dyke
Right by
Street?
Fett.
Yeah.
That
I
one.
knew exactly where you were watching it. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody film down there.
I didn't know that area of town. And again, like, shout out to Peter because he's a grimy, ratchet little guy. Sorry, I don't want to say little guy, but he definitely knows that kind of, seedy part of town.
And is Peter your actor, your main actor?
No, sorry, Peter Wilcox.
Peter.
Because he's born and raised in Rhode Island, and that was a whole other thing. We had no locations. Like everything happened 2 days before the shoot.
Yeah.
I was ripping my hair out. We had no locations, and it's like you think the script didn't call for anything specific. It was just a matter of like,
But
where's
you
the
hadn't
bathroom?
scouted anything, or
We were trying.
trying?
I don't know why it was such a problem.
Hit me up next time.
I think it was because our crew were from all over and we're trying to accommodate. Like we had Anthony the gaffer from the North Shore and we were like do we shoot in Boston? We could have. I don't know what. Oh, trying to have like a base camp thing. Yeah. We like, where is our base camp? We ended up shooting in Providence because they could all crash at my apartment building and stage things there. And also the bathroom was in the that was a huge thing. We couldn't find a bathroom to shoot in. And so I just asked my landlord and
wait, so kind of the exterior stuff, was that all outside your apartment? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, the bathroom was in my apartment building, and then when all of the exteriors were primarily by
the interior
Dyke
bathroom
Street.
that was the
The
set
interior
was in
bathroom.
your, which I thought was exterior, was
Yes,
in your apartment.
that was in my apartment building, and that was like the perfect base camp. I think the other thing, it was like freezing out, and so it couldn't just be let's find cool locations in Boston. It's like I knew people were going to be freezing, so I wanted somewhere to retreat to,
Good
a bathroom, a home base. So we just used my apartment building. I'm like, okay, it's in Providence, and I knew I wanted like beautiful, like I just the texture of like brick and having graffiti anywhere could just make any film beautiful looking. And so I asked Peter, I'm like, all right, what's the grossest part of town? And he was like,
Olneyville, Dyke Street.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So we shot over there and it was just beautiful. It's also like, I think growing up in Worcester, it's like very grimy and
there's kind of a little bit of nostalgia.
I think there's a nostalgia thing.
Kind of has that same Worcester vibe.
Yeah, but
love Worcester.
More beautiful than Worcester. Yeah, Worcester is just like, never mind. Some people love Worcester. I lived there for like a long time, so.
Anywhere that you spend too much time in, you kind of. I'm the same way with where I'm living right now in East Greenwich. I've been there 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hate this place.
Really?
Yeah, because I live right on the main street, so it's
wow,
it's too much.
Oh wow.
But I kind of have that love for Worcester because
you love Worcester.
I do. Probably for reasons that other people hate it, but
Mhm.
like I love the kind of texture it has, and I also from a location standpoint, they've got a lot, and they're very easy to work with.
Mm,
Very easy to get big productions permitted there.
really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Very film friendly.
Isn't there a director, Andrea, that shoots, like, Christmas movies in Worcester?
I know
Am
of
I
Andrea, if that is her name. I know of
Yeah.
who you're talking about,
Yeah.
but I don't know too much about what she's up to.
I don't know the film scene, I just know there's, like, this one woman that shoots movies in Worcester,
It's a
but
great place. And
I
on
didn't
top
know
of
that.
that, as Rhode Islanders, you're based in Rhode Island,
Mhm.
Worcester's the best commute ever.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes you 45 minutes. You won't hit an ounce of traffic
Yeah.
except for when you're in Woonsocket, but that's like 4 minutes max.
Mhm. Yeah.
On the other hand, there's Boston, where it takes you an hour and a half just to get from, Back Bay to the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
So
Yeah,
you
I
made
mean,
the
I
right
don't
call
wanna
coming to Providence and film it. Yeah,
I feel like in a weird way, it's like a nice little epicenter for our, like, film industry. I don't know why.
I do
It's
too. I
like
wish people were more aware of it. There's so many different
yeah.
locations in Providence that are amazing.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'm really thankful that we shot in Providence. I just love that look, and like you were saying, I think because I grew up in Worcester, I have like a nostalgic like love for griminess,
Yeah.
and that definitely reflects in anything I write. It's always about like townies, and Worcester's not like towny vibe, but there's just this grunginess, and so I tend to write about like kind of ratchet experiences like teen girls that are don't I don't know, kind of just no one's talking proper, and that's my favorite thing to write about.
So, what was it like? Because I would imagine there's shooting on film. There's probably an element of, well, we know it works like as we shot it, but what was that feeling like when you finally got the footage back?
Okay.
Because there is that moment where it's like, okay, like that was it. Like we can't
Yeah.
look at this on a monitor.
Okay, yeah, that's I didn't get to see the monitor. There was no monitor. It was weird, just your eyeballs on the actor, and then you're like looking back at the cameraman, and you're just or Erin, and you're just like hoping
Do
that
we
they
get it?
got what you're seeing with your eyeballs, and
Yeah.
so yeah, getting it back was exciting and a little scary because there were things that were in the frame that and this isn't Erin's fault, like, and it's no, it
It's
was
just the
beautiful.
nature of shooting on
It's the nature
film.
of shooting on film. It was also at night
Hmm.
on 16 millimeter, and
And you can't
Erin
see
doesn't have a
shit in the
monitor. She's in a tiny
eyepiece.
little like
Yeah.
old camera, like, and so they're just like little things that were there, and I feel like this is a lot of filmmakers like experiences when they first get the footage back. Like at first you're kind of like that wasn't my vision,
Mm.
or like something like how do we get it to look like a beautiful story. And Erin is an optimist, and so she was like yay, and I was just like okay, yeah, we got to start editing.
Hmm.
But and it like everyone says like the magic happens in the editing room, or the story is like created in the editing room, and it's true. Now I know it's absolutely true. You have to trust it when you get the footage back, and you're like ugh, like at some of the shots, it doesn't like yeah, you can Frankenstein the whole thing. It wasn't Frankenstein, but it took a lot of work to get it to where it is now. Um, and also Erin was also the color corrector, and she did a phenomenal job. So like obviously, at first you're looking at something that's so flat, and you're just like, ugh. Like, especially how beautiful the shots in the alleys in Providence were. Like when we first got it back, it just felt like not magical grimy, just grimy. But
Hmm.
then she brought out the reds of the brick and the graffiti and green, and she made it really, looked like dreamy kind of.
And what was the editing process? I mean, is that the kind of thing that are you doing the editing? Is she doing
Yeah.
the editing? Is it the kind of thing that you're heavily involved as it's being cut, or do you kind of let an editor go away with it for a little bit and then you come and are surprised and kind of direct? Like
I
what's
had my friend mentor, the director of I'll give him a name this time, the director of the homoerotic French horror film, Owner Tukel, who's based in New York, and he's really like amazing. He just keeps making movies, which I think is really special. But anyways, he also makes money editing. And so I reached out to him and was like, "Can you look at this?" And he knew what I was saying.
Yeah.
And so I sat down with him. And so he kind of just like went at it and did everything he could, but I wasn't paying. It's not even about paying. He's a very busy person. And so he did a lot of, kind of the assembly cut, I'd say.
Sure.
Yeah, he did like the assembly cut. And then he also like threw the subtitles in and he threw sounds in. Like he really, I would call him the editor. But because he couldn't finish it, he rightfully was like, "Don't list me as the editor," because, he didn't feel like he was the editor. He couldn't finish it. He was busy. And so I took that from him and spliced it up even more, and had a lot of fun. And so I'm listed as the editor, but I'd say it was definitely equally me and owner.
Did you have
And
any editing experience prior to that?
like a little bit, I've used Premiere and I've shot my own short films that I never released.
Hmm.
And I edited them myself. And so like I guess so, but I'm not an excellent editor, but I think that this story was just so visceral for me. Like it felt easy. Like I knew the beats.
Sure.
So it felt easy. It was fun, honestly.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So, you're having a festival run for it right now. I've
Hmm.
been seeing a lot of posts. It's being well received. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I need to be not like so humble. Like sometimes it's good to be like, we won 2 awards at Fantasia, but it is kind of like a mind fuck. Cause you're just like, I don't know. I'm my
Who,
own worst.
me?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like, not even that. I'm just like, I'm my own worst critic. So I'm kind of like, really? I don't
Yep.
know. Anytime someone's like, really loves it, I'm like, really?
No, I get the exact same feeling. We did a short film called Four Pins, and like a week before we were going to be done with it, I was like, "No, we got to scrap it."
I loved Four Pins.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing. It did really well at the festival run,
Mm.
but I was like, I don't get what people are seeing.
That's how I felt.
I don't get it.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I think because, like, we all know if we have, like, we have it in our heads, like, if I just had, like, 10,000 more dollars,
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
have been even better. What are you guys talking about? And so, like, when people, really like it or appreciate it, and it did win 2 awards at Fantasia, and that, like, blew my mind. But I do, like, I'm just thinking, like, if we had a little more money, you would have liked it even more. Like, what do you like,
Well,
But I think they
I'm
like the
sitting here
story.
telling you there's a lot to like about that
Thank
movie.
you.
Was Fantasia the premiere?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it still have a good amount of like? Are you submitting to other festivals? Have you submitted?
I've submitted, so like completely out of pocket, submitted to I think 20 film festivals. Some people submit to like 100, which is
Hmm.
crazy. And I'm on the film festival subreddit just to like have you ever been on there?
I try and avoid the festival circuit like the
Yeah.
plague.
You do?
I do.
You avoid the festival circuit. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I
Why?
don't love it, and it's a very unpopular opinion.
Yeah, it's like a lottery.
Yeah.
And
I
part of it is knowing someone that can email someone, a programmer,
yeah.
which sucks.
It does. It does. And I don't know. I've got, you probably have seen him. I've got a really good friend, filmmaker, cinematographer, Steve Schloss. And
Mhm.
I told him, I'm like, what you do really, really well is that you are you unashamedly market yourself.
Mhm.
And that's what you need to do as a filmmaker.
I know.
And that's just like I had another conversation
It's
a while
so
ago where it's
cringy.
like I don't know if it's like Catholic guilt or something, but like I'm like no I can't be too proud of my work,
I know, but you have
but you
to.
have to be you have to be in order to get it. You have to be unashamedly this is
Yeah,
good.
because people, I mean, what's the ultimate goal? People paying you so you can actually keep just making your work and so it can look closer to your vision. You need money to do that.
And if you're not confident about the thing that you're
yeah,
putting
they
out
can
there,
tell. People can sniff that out. They want to work with someone. They want to give money to someone who's like, I'm great.
yeah,
They don't want to work with someone that's like, I'm
trust
okay.
me with your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's like one of my greatest weaknesses is just I don't like being in the spotlight at all, and even talking like right now but not right now. I feel fine right now because you're easy to talk to, but yeah, I'm not great at it, and I think that it's important for a filmmaker to not downplay what they do, and I do that a lot.
Mhm.
And it's yeah, you need to be confident. Even if you don't feel confident, you have to pretend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what are you working on next?
Next, I'm really excited. I've been working on the story for like, I mean, this is because I procrastinate, but for like a year and a half or 2 years. But it's like a 15-page script. But
Is it the one you sent us, Zippy?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I couldn't remember if I sent that to you.
You did. I gotta confess, I didn't get all the way through it just because of
That's
time.
okay. Yeah.
But I started reading it after I watched Streetlight. I'm like, God damn, she's good.
Shut up.
No, I'm dead serious because it got to the point. It's the first scene. I'm not going to give anything away, but it got
Oh, it's fine.
It got to the point where he described the boy that they're about to go and see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck off with this. Like, again, it kind of felt there was an Edward Scissorhands element to it that I was like,
yeah,
I can't wait to
there's a
see how
magical
this
surrealism thing, but it's not going to be, it's going to be like literal.
Cool.
And I'm still trying to figure out why. I don't actually know. I'm trying to figure out.
Maybe
like,
you don't need to know.
Maybe I don't need to know right now, but it is, yeah, that's the next thing. It's going to be in the winter.
Again,
I hate doing this to people, but
why winter? Is it an aesthetic thing or is it a time thing?
It's a purely aesthetic thing. I think it also helps us the story to contain. Yeah, it helps the tone and it helps contain the characters because there's always just like, can they just run away if it's winter and if it's about like 12-year-old boys, and so if you're 12 and you're in a stranger's house and it's negative 15 degrees out, you can't just run away. And so it makes it easier. But also, I'm working with an incredible, I'm so lucky. He's literally my dream producer, Shintaro Shimosawa. We connected because he was a producer on The Grudge, and I'm like, my favorite movies are Japanese horror films. And so anyways, he's been a mentor to me. He's an incredible writer. He's an incredible producer. He usually does horror films. He's also directed, and he's just a sweetheart for even helping me. But like, he sees something in me and I'm trying to accept that instead of like downplaying like, what does he see? But he's going to produce it. He's been creative producing it, and he's just an idea generator too. And so I had met him in 2021 and he had told me like, hey, let's make something, just send me ideas and I'll let you know. And so I had been off and on, writing just to practice like short horror ideas, and I would send it to him and he would kind of be like, okay, cool, next. He wouldn't say it like that. He's a very nice guy, but he'd be like, cool, keep writing. And I'm like, got it. And then
that one.
and I think we had a conversation where I was like, Shintaro, like I want to write something great or something different. I don't like, I'm like stuck. And he said, like, it's all about the character. Everyone says that. And he's right. He said, like, why don't you come up with a really interesting character, or at least a character that we don't see a lot? And I don't know like how I started thinking of this, but the way I grew up, my mom would force me and my twin to go over the weird kids' houses for their birthdays. I don't know if you experienced that or if that's just I thought this was a universal thing. I'm just learning that other moms didn't do this. She's very sweet. And so we would be forced over like some of the, the kids that, their mom would send invitations to everyone in the school, or at least that happened in Worcester, Massachusetts. And so I wanted to write a story about kind of an outcast 12-year-old boy or 13-year-old boy that's like not even cool enough to say he's the school bully, honestly, just kind of like not a nice kid. And that was an interesting character to me. I was thinking of Stand By Me a little bit, where you have such a complicated, I forgot what his name is, River Phoenix plays. What the heck?
Oh, I forgot too.
Oh well, but he plays an interesting character because he's a sweetheart, but he's also, and he's not a bully, but he has like failing grades, and he's like kind of like a rotten kid a little bit. And so I was interested in having someone not even be a sweetheart, but just kind of a bad person as a 12-year-old. And so I, had that in mind, and to be honest, way that I came up with, it's called Zippy's House. I forgot if I said it, but it's called Zippy's House, and I didn't have any idea what it would be about, and I didn't even like know. We're gonna backtrack. I was on the phone with my twin, and I was like, Athena, I'm trying to come up with something interesting. Shintaro was said to have an interesting character. I have no idea where to start. And she's like, don't some people start with a title? And I'm like, yeah, but I've never done that. I'm not good at titles. And she's like, just say the first thing that comes to your mind right now. And I was like, no, I don't have anything in my mind. And she's like, just say anything right now. And I was like, zippity doo dah. And
Mhm.
she's like, okay. And I was like, fuck off. Like, what do I do with that?
What am I gonna do with
And
that?
so I was like, Zippy's house. And she's like, okay, your story is Zippy's house. And I'm like, got it.
Here we go.
That's it. There, here we
Yeah.
go. And I guess I wanted to work with kids, and I was interested in that. And I thought, why would his name be Zippy? Maybe this kid, the weird kid that there's two kids. There's one named Michael who is kind of like an asshole as a 12-year-old, and not even a bully, but just an outcast. And he doesn't really have friends, but he judges everyone. He's forced to go over Zippy's house for Zippy's birthday because his mom, Michael's mom, thinks he's an asshole and needs to, start being a good kid so that he can kind of make a better name for himself. And so he goes over and realizes that it's not Zippy's birthday and no one else showed up. And so I want it to feel kind of like unnerving when you're a kid and you're in a place that you don't know and it smells weird. And Zippy's called Zippy. I backtracked because I started with the title because he has a zipper in the back of his head. And so I wanted to write a horror short where there's a ton of different questions. Why is Michael the only one there? What is Zippy and his mom planning to do with Michael? Are they planning to do anything? Why did they lie? Why is it, it's not even Zippy's birthday party? Like, why are these characters all together? I think I gravitate towards stories where you're kind of just like, why are all these characters together?
Hmm.
And that's why I wrote the Streetlight too. Why is the Streetlight talking to this guy?
Yeah.
And I think that it's because there's one character that has a perfect weakness against the other. And so I'm navigating that with Zippy's house, and I finished writing it. I made the pitch deck. I love the pitch deck. It was the first one I ever made. And now I'm looking into, because like Shintaro is fantastic where he knows the specifics of, like real world filmmaking, not just the Streetlight was real and it was very professional, but it was almost like camp. Like
Mhm.
really like camp, not like Verity camp where it's professional camp. It was just like a
Yeah.
free for all. Let's all help each other.
Yep.
But this is like more, Shintaro was like, okay, you finished the pitch deck. Now we need to get someone to price it. And I don't know what that title would be. I don't know if it's the line producer for a short film, but
Mhm.
I am now looking for someone to do that. I've never had someone do that. I don't
What,
even
to
know
keep
where
eyes
to
on the
look.
budget?
Not even someone who can read a screenplay and price it out
Oh,
so that you can
probably your
send
executive producer or your producer. Yeah.
someone who's experienced in.
Yeah, my understanding, again, I've been doing this a while. I should probably know this like firm as
No, this is
stone.
new to me.
But
Yeah.
the executive producers generally price it out. The producers take that budget, make it. Line producer is more often than not the one keeping eyes on the budget
Yeah.
and keeping eyes on the department head's expenditures.
Yeah. So we're definitely not there yet, but he, and I thought I could just get like anyone to just look at it and be like, yeah, 3-day shoot, 2 12-year-old boys, and you're going to need a tutor on set. And like, you could just Google search, but it sounds way more involved than that. Like,
I
it
know a
sounds
couple people who could help you out.
okay. Really?
Yeah.
I actually really need
We'll talk after
someone.
the podcast.
Okay. And I'll throw money at them too.
Yeah. We'll
What
talk
little
after the
money I have.
podcast.
Okay, cool.
Out of curiosity, do you mind if I ask what
Yeah.
Streetlight costs? I'm always
Oh, yeah, of
so
course.
fascinated by what people
Yeah.
have on their budget.
I feel like I put
Because
what
film's
it.
not cheap.
No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it makes everything beautiful.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it really like boosts any story.
Mhm.
But I put because I made like an IMDb page and they ask that, and I think everyone should know how much things cost. And it was $1,000, but does that include how much festival submissions cost, or no? Like,
That would be your production budget. What did it cost? Do you mind? Like,
Yeah.
how much have you spent on festivals?
on festivals, so if I think I have spent like $750,
Hmm.
and that was an accident because when you're on Film Freeway, do you
Hmm.
submit on Film
Yep.
Freeway?
Yep.
When you're on Film Freeway and your credit card's already loaded in there, it feels like not real. It feels like
Yeah.
Monopoly money, and I didn't even realize I spent that much money. And I think it was also like, I mean, I was working on Ella McKay, so I was like, I'm making money. I'm
I've
not
got the
even.
money.
I got the money.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't know that we wouldn't be working for like
Oh my God, that was
a long
me
time.
like a year ago. I was like, oh, well, the film industry is not going anywhere. So I think I blew 15 grand on a short
Easy.
film,
Yeah,
with all the
that's
expenditures
okay.
all in.
Yeah. You're
And
like,
then
I'm
it's like,
investing in myself and my
yeah.
future.
And then I'm like, huh, I didn't
And
know I
now
wasn't going to
I
work for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I blew like $750, but I mean it was worth it for Fantasia, honestly.
Hell yeah.
But that's a lot of money.
Well, I'm excited to see how Zippy's house comes along. I'll be excited to have you back on the podcast
Hmm.
and hear about the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for Zippy's house, so thank you for asking.
absolutely. So for anybody that's listening and they want to check out your work, I know that Streetlight's still going through the festival circuit, so it's probably not available.
Hmm.
But is there anything
Just
else
DM
that
me, I'll send it to you.
perfect? Perfect. All right. Well, Sophia, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Hope you had a good time.
I had a fantastic time. This was very just like I don't know, my guard's down. I wasn't nervous. I get
Yeah.
nervous. And yeah, this was really fun.
It's good to
I
shine
feel
a
like I'm
light
hanging
on.
out. Yeah, this was great.
It's what we aim for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to shine a light on, all the local filmmakers. So I'm really happy we're here.
Yeah. Can I say random like advice?
Please. Oh my God. Yeah. What do you
Just
recommend?
because like as I'm going through this festival circuit and like meeting really fucking cool people and like
Yeah.
I'm so happy I'm meeting these people, but I've learned something that seems kind of obvious, but like no one taught me. And when you meet, people in the industry that are saying, "What are you doing next?" and like they own a production company, for example, and say they found you through your short film, which is what a lot of us are doing to meet these people that have production companies. They need a feature length script or a proof of concept short film with a very detailed outline for that proof of concept, because that means it's for a feature, to do anything with that.
Mm.
You can't, they can love a short film. If that short film is like, not paired with a detailed outline for the feature, it doesn't mean they're gone. They were interested in you. But if you want to be ready, like get the ball rolling and, ready for someone to come over and make your dreams come true, you have to have a feature length script, because otherwise they're like, okay, cool. Like, let us know when you have something we can shoot.
Yeah.
But there aren't production companies that are looking to make short films. If they liked your short film, they're wondering if you have a feature. And if they're asking you, that means you have a very detailed outline for the feature so that they can consider if they want to make that or a feature like screenplay. So have that.
Do you have a feature in the works?
I wrote a feature like 4 years ago, but I'm a much better writer now, and
Mhm.
so like I send that to them, but then at the same time I'm like, this isn't me anymore,
Mm.
and I just think for all filmmakers that are just starting out or like in the middle of it and like ready for that connection, because that will happen. You'll meet someone that's like a producer at a cool company. Make sure you have some like, you have short films to show that you're a great filmmaker, but they want to know like, okay, let's shoot something. You have to have something. So you have to have a feature length script.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because I was listening to a film podcast the other day and they were talking about how, when is your movie ever done?
Mhm.
And they were talking specifically about feature films, right?
Mhm.
And they were essentially getting to the point where it's like, well, your feature film never really is done. You assume that, okay, once you put it into the festival circuit, it's done. But no, then it takes on a life if you want to put it into a physical, a Blu-ray, DVD, what have you.
Yeah.
And then so on and so forth. And it's interesting to hear you say that about the short film, because I think that there's probably this idea out there that, you make your short film, it goes to the festivals and it's done.
Yeah.
But like you said, it morphs into another life if you want to kind
Yeah.
of keep the thing rolling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why are any of us doing this? Because we want to make it so that we can act, direct, or producer, write,
Tell our stories.
and tell our stories. And so if once you've made a short film that feels like you and it has a great style, someone's going to see it and love it and be like, okay, let's make a feature. What do you have? If you don't have anything, I mean, they're not gone, but you're just delaying yourself. So just for filmmakers, I think it's really important, like, work on a feature length script, or if you're not a writer and you're just a director, have a script that you can send them, that you have a writer that you work with, but have something ready for someone to make your dreams come true. I never thought about that. It's very simple, but it's like, yeah, have a feature length something ready to shoot.
Well, it's also like you said earlier, it's not necessarily about getting 1 million views on your, one project. It's about touching that one person.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Sophia, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this experience.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.